This industry's broken. Really the most profitable business to be in is not the brokerage, it's to build a team. All the stuff that we teach the other agents, and guess what happens with those guys?
Success. So here we are today with the one and only Nathan Clark. The one that speaks the truth, speaks his mind. He actually cares about where the industry is going, but also putting it in perspective of why he started in the direction of the brokerage. How's everybody doing today? As you know, it's Dan Balkun, our Call on the Closer episode, and we are circling back to the first ever guest of the show, of the podcast, of the creation of the thought, Mr. Nathan Clark.
How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for having
me. Yeah. So we're
this is number what, 25?
25, yeah.
The first but not last.
The first but not last, as we were told earlier. Maybe this is the last if we don't get any more likes. But actually looking back on, the first attempt to do this, it was still the most views that I got out of anybody since that episode. And I've had some different types of people, different types of characters, but I think you are the most intriguing person in real estate even to this day. Just as your longevity in the business, I know you're laughing.
Yeah.
The I told you so, the I can't believe he's doing business, everything that kind of came full circle, came full circle. And so we're going to touch on that a little bit, talk about what's happened.
You mean I was right and they were wrong?
Yeah, we can put that in there, okay, how you were right and they were wrong, and how they told you, you were wrong all this time, and you'll never be able to charge commissions, and and nar. And so, here we are, a couple of years later, I think we're almost 3 years in now. But the NAR decision, we'll just jump onto that real quick because, it's the I told you so moment. People told you were wrong all these years, but you had been forecasting this, not just in your face, but talking about it to people, but nobody really wanted to listen.
Yeah, well, I'll be the first to just tell you, NAR is about to go out of business, right? And people hold on to them like it's like the church or something like that. NAR is the worst thing for the real estate business, and people just don't realize it. They are about 40 years behind the consumer. And what I've always said, and I've said it on video, I'll say it again, I'm not a realtor. As soon as we could stop being realtors, the only reason people are realtors for the most part is so they can have access to MLS. But NAR is so behind on the times that I think they deserve the $350 million lawsuit that they got. I'm happy that it happened to them because they're more about protecting themselves and I'd say the industry and the way things have always been done than protecting the consumer. But they like to put on this kind of wolf, this wolf in sheep clothing of like, hey, we're here to protect the consumer. But if you look at all their rules and the things they do, their rules to protect the organization and not to be transparent to the company. So the $350 million lawsuit, I'm glad they did it. It's changed things. And so I can now not have to pay their mafia like prices to be part of their organization because it's a terrible organization. There's nothing good in it. I think we've seen it where it's fallen out. Their sexual harassment lawsuits, their frivolous spending on the dues, to the continued being investigated by the Department of Justice. Really, the whole thing was about duping the clients. There was no transparency. All the brokerages were getting together and they were basically saying, hey, I'll do business with you if you pay me that, and we'll all agree to pay these prices. And we've seen it here in Rhode Island by large organizations and companies. We've had constant communication with NAR. They never wanted to do anything about it. So all these things that come out with it.
So what's changed now? Here we are, a year and a little bit over a year since that decision? Has it been a year? It's been...
Yeah, I think it was November. I think it was about September. It came into act in November 2023. They lost in court, which made them have to change and do these things. I think I'll put the prediction right on. You got about 3 to 5 more years of NAR existing, and they won't be an organization anymore.
And so, for the people out there that are watching, do you still have to be part of NAR to be part of MLS to be part of or no? You can do your own thing.
Right.
You can't just do your own thing.
There is no own thing. All that people want to have access to is multiple listing service. And MLS in Rhode Island is owned by NAR. And to be part of the MLS, you have to be part of NAR. And so NAR is also being sued for that, because they have lawsuits that are coming out that are saying basically it's, I think it's somebody in California is suing saying, I have to be part of NAR to be part of MLS, and that's kind of collusion right there. Is why do I have to pay these fees? So right now in Rhode Island, you don't have to be part of NAR. It's about $800 a year to be part of NAR, I believe.
Okay. And that went up, right? Didn't it used to be about...
Well, then you got to pay for that $350 million lawsuit.
Because I thought it was a little lower last year.
So it's $800 to be part of NAR. But if you don't want to be part of NAR, you can be part of MLS, but you have to pay a not part of NAR fee for $800.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's their workaround with
Plus
it.
the MLS fee?
Plus MLS
Okay.
fees, yeah. So I just pay the not to be part of NAR because there's no benefits to be part of NAR. And in fact, talking about people that can't get paid from a broker, a listing broker as a buyer's agent, only realtors can't be paid that way.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you're not a realtor, you can still get paid that way.
Right.
It's just realtors that can't be paid that way because they painted themselves in that corner. So
And so how do you feel like now that, all right, let's say we've put this in place, how do you feel transactionally things are going? Are they better, worse, the same? Has much changed?
I think what you're going to find is
Buyer agreements, you know, I see in the purchase and sales now, there's territory where you mock what the compensation could be or what you're going to be asking for, or who you're getting it from, those types of things.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed. I don't think most agents are disclosing that to their buyers before selling them houses or showing them houses like they're supposed to. You know, the rule came out of they're saying, hey, before you meet with the client, you need to sign a buyer's agreement. They need to sign off saying that they understand that they have to pay you, that or how you're being paid. That's really not being enforced, and that we're still seeing that's not happening out there.
I am seeing personally as a closing agent, you know, other compensation outside of this. Well, we can't call it the realtor paying the realtor anymore. We call it the seller paying the realtor, and then the realtor being compensated from the buyer.
No, definitely there's a lot of that's. It's still, I would say, like 50-50. Some people are complying with it, but there's no enforcement of it, right? And so I would say about 50% of the agents are doing it the correct way, and 50% of the agents are still just running out, showing people houses, showing a couple houses, then saying, hey, surprise, there's a buyer, and negotiating if they want to put an offer out there. So they're not really educating the consumer. Nothing's really changed with us. I mean, since 2008, we've been operating this way. We meet with buyers. We tell the buyers, this is what the services we could do for you, and here's the cost to do that. This is what we're paid. And we've always been transparent that way.
And to your credit, we've done a couple of big seminars together. And you've shown people how to, like, you literally opened up the playbook a little for them, you know, and I've seen you do it. You've tried to teach them, like, hey, this is the way that I do it, you know? And you said that just people won't, they just think it's off. You know, they're not salesmen enough or saleswoman enough to be able to ask for that? Is that what you think it is? They're not trained correctly?
Because they go to NAR, who trains them to get their license, and NAR doesn't train you any of those things.
Because we're in sales.
In fact, when I went and got my license at NAR, and up till a lot of the agents that work here, they told me when they got theirs, the trainers were telling them not to sign buyer's agreements with their prospective client, because I remember the story I got when I was in NAR school was there was a lawsuit in Arizona of a buyer's agent that signed a buyer contract with a buyer. The buyer bought a house and then later sued because there was a for sale by owner that the buyer's agent didn't tell them about, and that opened up to a lawsuit. So that's why you shouldn't sign buyer's agreements. Literally, that was the story I was told, and I'm hearing that story still, I don't know if today, but it's still being told even a couple of years ago. So they told you not to do those things. So I think back to your question is, why do people not listen to someone that's been doing this for 22 years, been number one since 2008, sold 6,000 houses, and probably more houses than anybody ever sold around. Why they don't listen to me and they listen to NAR is because they've just been kind of beaten in the head as NAR.
Because they're paying them?
Because they're paying, NAR knows everything. And I constantly tell you, listen, NAR is your enemy. NAR is the problem that makes everybody commodities. And when you all become a commodity, then it becomes who can be the cheapest. And everybody and that's the problem that a lot of people have right now, is they're the cheapest and they're not making any money, they can't survive in the business.
And it's funny because, you know, having worked with you for a long time now, I think we're in like 15 years or so, and I'm proud to say that, I've had a different set of conversations since the NAR decision with people that know you, or not know you, but thought they knew you, or what your business practices were, how you used to do buyer agreements and collect. And so there's a lot more respect, I guess, on the streets, as we'll call it, about what you were doing. They might not come out and tell you, like, oh, Nate, you know what, you were right. You know, I'm sure you don't get a lot of those emails like, you know what, bud, I know I fought you on tooth and nail on everything, but you were right, you know, after all this time. And I know you're not looking for that, but you've never done anything about the pat on the back or like, you know, I'm like this. You know, you put an organization together to function as a unit, not as individuals.
Yeah, I guess I really don't care what their opinion is with it. You know, if you know something's right, this is the right way to do it. That's how we've been. Like, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
I don't need the pat in the back from NAR. I don't need the pat in the back from awards. You know, or these things. This is the way we're going to do it, and it's proven. This is the way we do it, and we can prove it by, you know, thousands of reviews from happy clients that come back, you know, and do business with us and give us 5-star reviews. That's all that matters to us. You know, as far as the industry as a whole, you know, I guess, you know, to keep on kicking this dead horse here, is industry's broken. Yeah. It really needs to be corrected. And what people need the most right now is good logical training. And where they're getting the training from is not working. I think
I try, man. I try. I mean, I try to bring a lot of logical application of real estate to people. You know, I know we've done some stuff again, and we talked about that. But all right, so let's flip that script now.
Yeah.
Where are we in today's market? Like, here we are, you know, mid-year. We just got done with the first half of the year in 2025. You're talking about doing record numbers, you know, when it comes to commissions and things of that nature. But we talked a little off camera as well, just about, like, you know, that flat line effect. But what are you seeing? Like, where do you know?
Yeah, I think if you look back at a couple of years ago, Dan, it was like 2023 was a very rapid change, right? What happened? Inventory dropped. Yeah. Nobody was buying and selling, right? And no matter what you did, there just wasn't that much inventory out there.
23
so
was
the
true sign, because like halfway through 22, rates were still at 2s and 3s at the beginning, and as the year flow, again, the pipeline went, and then we got into 23, and I remember our calls together like, oh man, this is good.
23. Right now, I started to sell real estate 2024, right? 2023 was the worst year I've ever had, and now so we've been through.
Well, you started selling not in 24,
2004.
Yeah,
I say 24.
Yeah,
so 2004. A Joe Biden moment there. 2004. You know, so if you look back at 2007, 2008, how tough that was, many people don't know. I mean, that was a miserable market, short sales, stuff like that. Yeah. But 2023 was the worst because there was just nothing to buy, right? And it's like you can't sell and buy if nobody's selling or buying. Yeah. So the positive side, with every struggle comes an opportunity. Right, and the opportunity was to pivot in your business and change things, right? And a business model. I think what we kind of went with the mantra of 2024 was doing more with less. Yeah. And that's what we looked at in 2024, and we really pivoted to be focused on giving more value, right? More value for the customer. So while most people are kind of pulling their commissions down and then what they charge for, we were able to sustain ours with being able to give more value to the customer and work with our ideal customers.
You know, that's the $1 million word, value. You know, and I never. You've always told that to me, like, you know, as somebody that's mentored me as well, you know, in business. You know, Dan, you got to show value. If you're going to charge $200 more, what's the value in it for the client? If you're going to do this, what's the value in it for the person? Like, you can't just throw a number on it. You know what I mean? So you've steadily stayed firm on that word, but other people have no idea what their value is as a company, as an individual.
Well, I think if you talk to most agents, and let's talk on sellers, and you ask sellers, like, what's most important to a seller? Most agents are going to say, what do you think they're going to say?
Money. Commission.
Right.
Or money.
And what's most important to a seller is not the commission. Is what they want as a buyer.
Right.
And more importantly, what they want is certainty. They want certainty the house is going to sell. Now, listen, there are sellers out there that are just hell-bent on finding the cheapest agent that's possibly out there. Right. And go. I mean, there's people that want to go eat a $4 steak. You know, and there's some people that pay $400 for that steak. You know, if you probably don't want to go after those customers that want the $4 steak, right? So the idea is, there are some sellers. Yeah, there are some sellers that are just like, I just want the cheap. Yeah, that's fine. But most sellers, smart sellers, really what we're seeing, especially in this market, want certainty. They want certainty that the process of their home is going to sell. And if you can't deliver that certainty and that value to them, that you can't give them that certainty, well then yes, it's going to be about, well then you guys all do the same thing. You put prices, you put a price out there, put it on MLS, put it on a sign in the front lawn. But there is a different way to sell a house. There's a better way. Just like there's a better doctor out there and things that people pay more for. But why people pay those is because the consumer has the value. They see the value using this product versus that other product. So if you focus on the value, your prices will be able to uphold that, okay? And you can be profitable. But if the company's not profitable, you can't help your customer, right? And the problem is when companies don't become profitable, they have to start laying people off. Now there's less service, less customer service. And so I think it's really understanding is price is only an objection in the absence of value, right? And so we always just add more value, right? And be able to give more value to the customer. And that's what we focus on. And it's not something that I stepped out of sales in 2014, so I haven't sold a house for over 10 years now.
That Nathan Clark, I'm like, you couldn't pick him out of a police lineup right now, besides his billboard.
It's teachable to other people.
Yes,
you know, where I teach it to my entire team.
Yeah.
You know, and we have 21, 22 agents, and they'll sell 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that nice caption you threw out there, like last week or the week before, just like it was like a snapshot of the big board.
Yeah,
you know, and
we got it right there.
Yeah,
you can see out there. We got some top leaders at 34 transactions, and it's June, right, up to June. So
he had 7 pending, so we were doing that. Like he's already over 40.
And it's following the systems and the processes that we have out there.
So discussing the word value, we've talked and we just went through a really nice portion of that. But like, what have you changed? You said you changed a few things over the years. Like 23 wasn't the same as 24. You added more value. So I know we've done some CPOs, and for people out there that don't know what a CPO is, or certified pre-owned, or not. Well, pre-owned, that sounds like a car, but
right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what
it's a great value that we add to our sellers. One of the biggest issues that we also saw in 2023, and going along, this always happens in these market, is we see about 25 to 35% of transactions fall apart, Dan. Right? Wow. So you as a seller, you put your house in the market, the house doesn't sell. Why does that happen? Well, the number one reason is home inspections and title. Right? Oh. And so the son comes up with the title 2 weeks before closing. They find out, hey, you don't have a loan paid off. I mean, you got all these stories, right?
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah,
the loan didn't get paid off from 1986, and now you got to go find a payoff from a bank that's no longer in business. Yeah. And that takes weeks, and all of a sudden the buyer says, you know what, I don't want to buy the house anymore. There
are more title issues today than ever. I think that's where we are in the market too. Like we've lost the 2.5% people that aren't selling yet that have been in the houses. Even though they want to move up, and we've got the 7% people over here. The listings and the deals that we're finding are hard. Like there's no easy deals. Very, very few.
So we talked about earlier is like the industry's broken. Is kind of look why do we wait to the end of the transaction to find out if there's any problems? And so what we've adopted here at the Nathan Clark team was looking at our CPO program, our certified pre-owned, right? Just like a car. Why does you go to a Lexus dealership, right? They have certified pre-owned cars, and they have regular Lexuses. Okay, but if you look at the price, the certified pre-owned car sells for more. Why? Well, that's been pre-inspected. There's 119 checkpoints that the mechanic went through.
Brakes,
right, it can only have so much miles. It has to be this much, this kind of shape. Can be all these issues. One owner, no smokers, whatever that allows to be in that category. So we do the same thing with our sellers. When you hire us to list your property, what we do before we even put the house on the market is we have a comprehensive home inspection done on the property. Test the septic, the well, the radon, termites, all these issues that stop a buyer from buying the property. We also do a title search of the property. You help us out with that. We do a title search to make sure there's no problems.
That's helped us a lot.
Right. Why are we doing this? Because it makes the house a smoother transaction for the buyer, less likely to fall apart. Where at the end of the day, the seller has a certainty their house is going to get to the closing table, not just go into agreement, but get to the closing table, get paid. And in fact, by offering these things of value to our clients, our CPO houses sell for 4% more money than the houses that are not CPO houses. So we get more money for our CPO properties, just like we see in the car industry, they get more money for that by doing these things up front. And what our clients say universally when we do this, they're like, why doesn't everybody do this? It's because everybody just kind of like lemons, they just follow the pack. They're like, well, you do an inspection, the buyer does the inspection. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to find things that are wrong with the house before you even put the house in the market?
Because maybe the seller's willing to, they're in a situation where they can. Maybe they can't, but we can also disclose it.
Right, so if something comes up, the roof's no good. Right, we go back to the seller and say, hey, before we put the house on the market, what do you want to do about the roof? We could disclose it to the buyer, okay, we could fix it, okay, but if you don't fix it, you got to kind of look at your adjusting the price to do that, or what do you want to do? And we can have that upfront decision that you're not stuck in a time of, I got a buyer, I've found this buyer,
you're finding out
I got 2 weeks to do an inspection, all these things are going around, or the buyer gets cold feet and walks.
And then it creates a whole nother drama of a transaction.
And so our CPO, it's one more thing of value that we just give the customers that we show up with to give them certainty. Just like the fact that we show up with our sellers and we already have offers on their house. Because we work with so many buyers that you can see our transactions. We have buyers that come to us and they're like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, a house in Smithfield, for example, and we'll bring that buyer to our listing appointment. When somebody calls us and says, hey, I want to put my house in Smithfield on the market, we go, we already got a buyer for it.
Yeah.
So we get an offer from the buyer, we bring it to the seller.
Talk about the ease of the transaction.
Right. So imagine, so you're competing with us. You're talking about putting their house in the market and having to go find a buyer, and we show up, we already have a buyer for your house.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of that, like a lot of inherited houses now that didn't have probate done, that didn't have ITLs, they've got multiple liens on the property. We're seeing a lot now because of the COVID relief, where a regular listing agent will go out and they'll say, okay, they only have a $350,000 mortgage. However, they took a HUD-backed relief, a HUD-backed relief, a HUD-backed relief, and next thing you know, they owe $450.
Yeah.
And that changes the game completely. Now the deal falls apart. Who wants to sue? Who wants the deposit? Right. Again, it's the rate locks. That was always a good fight.
Yeah.
Well, the buyer's going to wait now another 15 days, and the rate lock's going to be, and who's paying for it?
So we've solved that problem where we give the buyer a rate lock right when they buy the property.
Yeah.
While we're searching with houses, all our buyers are locked in, even before they purchase the property, so they don't have to worry about their rate going up.
Yeah.
If it goes down, they get the better rate, but it locks them in, and that's another value that we give our buyers when they work with us, is that we'll make sure we actually give them a rate buy down of 1% for the first 12 months. So if rates are at 6%, if you buy a house through us, you'll get it for 5% with our rate buy down. Yeah. So we have tons of benefits that we give the clients to make sure this is, and we've teamed up with you as far as doing the title searches, make sure there's no title issues before. Pushing all these issues out and getting them taken care of really helps make a 5-star play. And that's really what we want to do, is not only do we want them to have a great experience, get more money for their house, it sells quicker, okay, but also that they're going to refer us their friends and family.
Let's turn that into more referrals down the line.
And we have more 5-star reviews than anybody else in the state.
That's awesome.
From being able to give value. So those are just a couple of things that we do as value that makes clients keep on coming back to us.
And Nathan does not write them all, just so you know.
Yes. It's a great team, and I think that's the other part of
you guys are firing on all cylinders. I mean, between the VIPs that I see at the office and the new agents that have come in, like the Nicks and the Jennas and they're really going. It's good to see. We've been through a lot of agents over the years.
I mean, it's sales, right? And so it's finding the right people. But I'll tell you, people is what makes a business. People is what's making an organization really hum. And when you find the right people, things really come together. It's a team, right?
You should do a tour. You've put a lot of people in place. I remember when it was like 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Now the staff is how many?
Yeah, when we started off, it was Jamie and I, and Jamie would bang the signs in the house. I'd go on the listing appointments. I'd work with the buyers. And,
that's crazy.
Jamie would take the photos. She'd handle getting the smoke detectors inspection. She'd handle and just building on it. And that's what it comes out to, is really building a process and a system. And I talk to agents all over the country, Dan, and what all the agents need and what they thirst for is a system and a process to know how to do that. And it's frustrating because they just keep on going to the wrong people for it. They go to people that haven't done it. Without mentioning, it's not names, it's organizations of these. They have to realize these franchises aren't in business of selling real estate. It costs like $15,000 to $20,000 to take down a franchise. They're in the business of selling franchises to franchise buyers, and those franchise buyers are in the business of just acquiring agents. Most of these franchises need about 125 to 150 agents before they can be profitable.
That's crazy.
So it just becomes a warehouse of agents. But if you look at the average sales of the agents that are in these companies, they're all selling
0 to 2, 0 to 3,
4 to 5, 6 houses per year on average, right? And listen, somebody can't teach you to do something they don't know how to do themselves.
True.
Right? Certainly, 4, 5, 6 transactions, you have everybody selling that in that company. What do you think you're going to sell? That's kind of like the lid. What most people do is
nobody can teach you how to sell more than 4 or 5 or 6. And sometimes you see that mentorship in those some of those brokerages where the person that sold 4 or 5 or 6 houses is the one mentoring the new agent. And I feel like that's that blind leading the blind type of mentality.
Most people don't realize too is these brokerages they're not making any money, right? And the broker is selling real estate because the brokerage doesn't make any real estate. They don't make any sales. They don't make any money from the brokerage, so the broker has to go out and sell houses. The brokerage is a lost leader, and I know brokers that have hundreds of agents that work them that have another job because their brokerage isn't making money. And so the thing is like, well, if they're not profitable, if they can't, how are they ever going to show you how to be profitable, right? Because that's another thing that's with the industries. The industries just become these warehouses of agents that don't sell houses, they don't know. And there's a lot of good agents that just thirst for the information. They thirst for, like, what do I have to do? But they just follow the kind of pack mentality of, of what's going to happen. Even agents, they talk to us, they're like, I love to leave my job to do something, but I just can't do real estate full time, to do it. And it's just finding the right mentor and right coach to show them how to do it.
Talking about brokerages and talking about footprints, we were talking about your home sold guaranteed and expanding into how many different states now? I mean, this has been a big undertaking for you over the last...
Yeah, last couple of years, we've been really expanding your home sold guaranteed realty nationwide. We have 70 brokerages now.
Wow.
So we have, we're about 26 states we've opened brokerages in.
Did you ever imagine that?
Nevada.
Little kid from Gloucester?
Yeah. Nevada, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. We've been in Florida, Georgia, of course, and about 1,000 agents. Hovering around with it is teaching them all these systems. So that's where I keep on saying the word system.
Are you duplicating this system in every one of those brokerages, or do you allow them to? No, it's
a process. I kind of go back to other businesses. When I got into real estate, it was looking outside of real estate to find what works.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't about looking what everybody else does. Because you just see what really the truth of the matter was it wasn't working for anybody, right? And so if you look outside of real estate, look at a $1 billion company like McDonald's, right? You go to McDonald's in Rhode Island or you go to McDonald's Hawaii, it's the same French fries. But they're made by 16-year-old kids that can't even clean their bedrooms, right? But they can run this $1 billion company, right? Is not to downplay the McDonald's workers.
Understandably.
It's the system that McDonald's built.
Right.
They literally have a salt shaker that you squeeze and it regulates the salt that goes on the fries.
Yeah.
Right. And if you ever worked at KFC like I did, it's all systems. And so that was kind of, that was exactly what we wanted to do, to build a system and a process that it wasn't like, hey, you go do your own thing over here, you do your own thing over here. Here at the Nathan Clark team, we all operate the same way. We have the same processes. We have the same systems. You're not allowed to have your own systems. If you want to have your own systems, you can. You just can't work here and have those systems.
Right.
Just like if you went to McDonald's. So if you went to McDonald's and said, hey, I want to go do the drive-through backwards, they're not going to serve you, right?
Right.
It's kind of the same process. And so we have it down to a science with all the data and the metrics that we have so much that not only have I taught hundreds of agents locally, right? Now we teach agents across the country. It's just the same process as here. So just like a plane flies in Rhode Island, it flies in Texas.
Yeah, still comes into the thing.
We see the same processes. Our CPO program, all the stuff that we teach other agents. And guess what happens with those guys?
Success.
They get successful, they become profitable, right? They're able to stop working their part-time jobs.
Are you excited about that?
I'm excited because it really, I can see what it's done.
Would you rather sell houses or do that?
I like selling houses. I just think I could make more impact selling more houses, impacting other people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
And doing that, and we have such a great team here. We have such a great leadership team. We have such great agents. We have such great.
Is this like the golden model that you've created?
Yeah, this is kind of like people come here in October. People fly from all over the country. They'll come here and watch how we do it. We'll go down. We were just in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
We were in Puerto Rico. The whole team went down there. They were able to meet everybody else, and so it's real camaraderie, but it's also learning from each other and finding what works, what doesn't. But it's all about generating business and a process, a system, which people need, and that's very different. Whether you go work at all these other brokerages, their value add is, hey, we're cheap, right? You just give us a little split of your commission. Right, well, that works, but how does that work in your business? Like if you're in business, hey, we're cheap, what kind of customers are you going to attract? What can they show you, if they're just the cheapest? And we have a lot of value that we give our agents, so the agents go make money and be profitable. Our average agent sells 25 houses a year, where the average agent sells I think we're up to about 29 houses a year. Where the average agent sells 4 or 5 houses.
It keeps increasing actually, because I think that number years ago used to be around 21, and then it was like 24, and now it's like it continually grows. I mean, you see the big board again. You start looking, you're like, okay, I'm looking at it right now, and they're all going to do over 30. For the people out there, what type of brokerage do you think would be an awesome fit for that? There's a lot of brokerages that have popped up. The high commission, low split, no fees. Who do you think's best suited to kind of come into that type of game plan and excel?
I think the people that come into your home sold guaranteed realty and want to excel are smart business people. that someone that's saying, hey, look, I just want to sell real estate for the rest of my life. When I'm 95 years old, I'll just die behind the desk, selling my last house. I think it's more for the people that say, hey, listen, I want something more. I want to build a real business that can run, that doesn't need me all the time. That it's actual business, real systems to do that. That type of person, and hungry agents that want to know more, want to learn more. So I guess what would be the commonality would be hungry, is how hungry they are. Listen, if you're just someone that's saying, hey, listen, I'd like to just sell 3 or 4 houses a year,
not gonna be,
and then, me and my girlfriends go to the beach, and I'm good at 4 or 5 houses. This isn't the place for you. But if you're an agent and you want to make 6, 7 figures a year selling real estate, as an agent, this is for you. And if you're a broker that sits there and says, hey, I want to have a business that makes 7 figures plus a year and operates without my constant involvement, well, then this is the place for you.
It still gets me after, working with you for so long and seeing the model continually grow, that I feel like always the number one objection is be like, what's the split? It's like, all right, you can sell 40, 50 houses, but you'll sell 4 or 5 and you'll worry about the 90, 99, 1. And then again, not get into numbers because we don't want to talk that, but I'm sure, is that still like the number, when you bring people into
I guess there's people that say the same thing when they go buy any product, right? And somebody once told me this, is like, I'd rather have a 10% of a watermelon than 10% of a ping pong. Right?
100% 0.
Some people say, right? And so what I mean by that is you could look at what the commission split is, but if you're getting a commission split on a bigger watermelon, a bigger piece, what does it matter? At the end of the day, it matters how much money you make at the end of the day.
Listen, more zeros in the paycheck.
Right.
I've always say that.
But at the end of the day, I think it's just kind of, I don't want to say, I would put it this way. It's like most people, affluent people, don't look at what the cost of things are. They look at what the ROI is. Right. And kind of thinking that way is what's the split. I guess that would be kind of the normal what people look at, but you probably want to look at what your return on investment is. Like the agents in my team make more on their split, what they take home, than you make on your whole commission at your office. I promise you. Right? As they make more money on a split because you look at it as a bigger watermelon. It's a bigger piece of the pie that they get. So at the end of the day, really what just matters is what you're bringing home. But I guess the agents that get attracted to that stuff, we're not really interested in those agents though, because if that's what your mentality is you got to ask yourself, if the brokerage isn't making any money, if they're making $200 when you sell a house, how much value could they really give you? Right? You do really want to work for a company, their value proposition is we're the cheapest. Well, what do you think everything they do is going to be? They're going to give cheap products, they're going to have cheap everything, they're not going to have an office, not going to have anywhere to go. And if they can't sell you any value of why you need to work there, meaning their only value is we're cheap, well, how are you going to be taught how to be able to collect money off of your own customer? And that's really what the industry needs right now. Is a lot of these agents are running around charging these fees that they don't realize don't make any money. Most people get into business and they look at what the person next to them charges for a commission. So let's say that somebody charges 2.5%. Right? And so what they'll do is they'll say, well, that person's charged 2.5%. What I'm going to do is I'm going to charge 2.25%, and I'm going to give them a free virtual tour or something like that. And what happens next is somebody else comes to business and goes, oh, you're charging 2.25%. I'm going to charge 2%. And I'm going to give them a virtual tour and a home warranty, right? And little do they know is the guy that's charging 2.5% isn't making any money. Right. I look at the old company that I used to work at before I opened up my own company in 2012, and I see the same names of the same agents that when I worked there selling the same number of houses they sold 15 years ago. They're selling the same number of houses they sell today, charging less money. And they're getting up there in age. They ain't getting younger, right? And you sit there saying, how long can you do this for before at some point you do want a retirement? And I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been to a real estate agent's retirement party? They don't have them.
It's usually called a funeral.
They don't have them, right? So once again, I kind of say, I think the system's broken, Dan, but that this is supposed to be an industry where you could work really hard, you don't have to have a college education, and you can sell some houses and make some really good money, but no one's really making any good money, and no one's retiring from this industry.
And how many people have, I bet you've interviewed, or the stat, now that you have other people in place, interviewed, and they leave on this super high, and guess what? They go back and talk to who? The person that was sitting next to them right there, and they're like, oh, man, I'm going to, and they're like, what? And they get talked out of a good thing, or people just listen to people not doing.
It's a herd mentality.
The herd, yes.
Yeah,
the herd
I mean, you asked like who works really well here. I mean, the agents on our team here and the agents part of your home sold guaranteed realty are hungry, ambitious people that want to do more. They're not your average
I've seen
person. We don't hire. I mean, listen, I'll bring people in the room. We'll interview 10 people, and all 10 people want to join the team, and we maybe take one of them. Right? We don't just take everybody. And that should be a sign of a company that you go work for. Right? Because I don't know any company in real estate that has any kind of bar of.
You could easily have 200 agents.
I could do it tomorrow.
Right. Like,
but the point is we don't want everybody.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to be the Navy. We're the Navy SEALs.
Yeah,
right?
I know we say that,
With 21 agents, we'll sell 500 houses this year. You know, close to 500 houses this year. By far the most profitable real estate company in New England. Beg to say, probably one of the most profitable ones in the country. Okay, with 21 agents. Right, where amazing. I know companies that have 2,000, 3,000 sales a year, and they don't make any money.
So after all of the hiring and going through the process, the agents that have been here, like you and I have had some point where you're like, hey, how's this one? Like we don't talk as much about that anymore. But like I get them from Dariel now, because he's in that position. But I remember you like calling like, hey, how's Joe doing? Or how's Bob doing? And like their success has been, it's monumentous. Like for the team, for the organization, for the new people that are coming in, to see where they started. A lot of people coming in from other brokerages, the big 3 or 5 or whatever you want to call them. They were selling 3, 4, 5 houses. So. That's got to be.
I think what makes me happiest is when I see, especially the young people come in with no experience, and they can sell 25 houses, 20 houses their first year, 15, 20 houses their first year. Next year they're going to do 30, 40 transactions. Is bringing something out of them. We talked to Steve earlier, right? Is the confidence. The agents that come on our team. I'll tell you what we found that it works the best with it is really new agents that have no experience. Like I love bringing new agents.
Agreed.
Young.
No
I say
bad
kids.
Habits.
I'm kids because I'm 42 now. So bringing young kids on without the bad habits, but you just show them an opportunity. And I think kids, I know, especially when I was a kid, it's like, just give me an opportunity that they come out.
Didn't we all want that from the big guy?
But it's give me an opportunity to do this, and
not keep it all to yourself and like give little pieces.
Yep, and you show them, you show somebody and they're making a 6-figure income at 21, 22, 23 years old. They're able to buy a car, buy a house. And a lot of the people have gone through that in our system, and you get to watch that and like, wow, this process, this system, what we work at every day, and it's not me. It's everybody here that does this stuff. I might have taught them. I already taught them. They teach people, and they do these things. And now you see these guys, and they're making well into the 6 figures, and they're learning too. I think one of the things too is like our average agent sells 30 houses a year. If you're new, you're just coming in, you're going to sell 12, 15, 16 houses your first year because it takes you a little time to go through our boot camp and get started. But do you realize, like, if you're here 2 or 3 years, you sold probably on average 100 to 130 houses in just 2 or 3 years. Do you know how long it takes an agent to get to 130 transactions in the industry?
Well, at 5 or 6 a year, if that's the average, it's 25 years.
15 years.
It's the funeral at the end.
So you can get, working with us, you can get 15 years of experience in literally 24, 36, 48 months. You can get that kind of experience level in 3 or 4. Talk about college. I mean, there's no more experience, there's no better life experiences you get than just actually doing it. And the agents on our team, our average agent sells about 3 or 4 homes a year. Some sell, 3 or 4 homes a month. Some of them sell 7, 8. It's just your at-bats are just you're selling a house, selling a house, that it just becomes like clockwork. Like you just know everything that's going to happen. As a consumer, you're working with these agents that sell 2, 3 houses a year. Like, what are the agents doing the other 9, 10 months a year? So they forgot how to sell real estate. Most people forget how to sell a house how to do their job between between Friday and Monday and the weekend. They forgot to do their job. Can you imagine if you do this 3, 4 houses a year? I mean, you're forgetting how to do. Well, I forget what to do. Oh, I forgot to order a smoke. I forgot to order title.
I literally just had this conversation yesterday. I was sitting with 2 agents that they wanted to sit down just to kind of pick my brain. They're not newer, but they've been struggling. I try to give them like this roadmap to follow. Because like, oh, should we buy into this? I'm like, no, you don't have to buy into anything. You have to buy into your own system and put something in place. But Imagine if agents actually put 40 hours of work into a week, how successful they'd be.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get into real estate because they don't want to work. They love the idea of freedom that translates to I don't have to work.
Yeah.
And they rather stay at a level of mediocrity and poverty, okay, than basically work hard. Right, and that does scare people away. Like people that don't want to work hard, we don't want to have you on the team here. We want people that sit there and say, hey, I can do 40 hours in my sleep, okay? And listen, I mean, our agents, they work, Joe will sell 70 houses this year, still playing a band all over New England. They're not working 80, 90 hours a week, but they work, and they work hard, okay? And that's what we're looking for. It's not people sit there saying, hey, what's the least amount of work I can do, right? It's the people that say, hey, I want to work, I just want the opportunity. And we'll give those people the opportunity. I've already said, we always look for the PhD. Poor, hungry, and determined. And it's really, the poor will get you up in the morning to sit there, but the hungry, determined keeps you going. And you got to be hungry and determined, and you always got to play like you're behind, right? And we talk about that. I talked about the team meeting today. What I meet with people is, those are the type of people that sit there saying, hey, I'm not going to have an opportunity unless it's this, and I'm going to make this work, and be able to bring people in and make a lifetime. We got agents making $300,000, $400,000 a year.
And kudos to you, man. You're giving people the opportunity to get those swings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to be said in, a system, because you can't just think it. It has to be a system in place.
It's hard work. What we believe is where you're the most profitable, right? Because at the end of the day, we're in business to be profitable. Right?
Yes, always.
Anybody's telling you anything different, that's okay. But at the end of the day,
even nonprofits are profitable.
Right. You want to be profitable. You want to be the most profitable you can with the hours that were allocated per day in there. And so as an agent, the most profitable thing you can be doing is selling houses. But a lot of times, sometimes the agent's all tied up in all these other things where they're banging signs on the front lawn, making phone calls, calling. I hear these guys and they're bragging about all the cold calling they're doing, go circle prospecting on the phone for 80 hours a week, and then they go try to sell real estate. That's great. How long are you going to be able to keep that up for, buddy?
It's a burnout.
Right, it's a burnout proposition. It's really what our agents focus on is showing people houses, showing houses to sellers and buyers, going on listing appointments, going on buyer appointments, presenting offers, all the high value dollar things that as an agent, that's what you should be focused on, because that's how our team works, where we have a specialized ISA department that just books appointments for the agent. So they're on the phone 40 hours a week, right?
That's their job.
Booking appointments, and we book on average 250 appointments for our 20 agents, okay? So you get 10 appointments, 15, 20 appointments a month from us. We're giving you these appointments. You go on the appointments, you meet with the client, you service the client, and you're really tight with the client, giving them really good customer service, and we'll take care of the transaction in the background. Danny will get to the closing table. We'll make sure the signs of the property. We'll have a photography company go out there. We'll handle everything, but you just go on the appointments and you sell, because that's in the business that you got into, is to sell, and that's what our agents, and that's why they can excel so much, because we give them so many at-bats, and they just get really good
at selling.
At bats. And what crazy business model would you ever have that you're a real estate agent? Imagine if IBM called you and said, Danny, come work for us. We're going to have you be the top salesperson. You're also going to be a sales manager. You also got to be telecommunications. You got to handle inside calls, bookkeeping.
You got to work the mail room.
You got to work the mail room. You got to do. Well, that's what happens when you go to real estate. Hey, but you get to keep 95% of your commission. Right? Yeah, well, you're running a whole business by yourself, and guess what happens? Well, 95% of agents are out of business in 5 years or less.
That's a burnout. That's a burnout, dude.
Because they don't have a process. They don't have a system to do it with. And that's what we give the agents. We're like, hey, listen, here's the presentations, here's the systems, here's what you say, here's what you do, and do this over again. Mentor. It's not a secret. Just look what the person next to you doing, do what they do. And the agents that do the best on the team can follow a system. And they're just like, yep, just point me which way to do. Okay, this is what I do. I can follow the system. And I think we've done it so much with so many agents. Like, let's just face it, no one's worked here and left the company and been more successful than they were when they worked here. They all sell less houses, make less money, right? So it works for everybody. It's following the systems, the processes as they work.
And that's full circle back to our original conversation about if you sit next to me, or you sit next to John, or you sit next to Patrick, we're all doing it the same way. So there's no secret sauce. That's the way it goes.
This is how it's done.
You get better at that.
And if there was a better way, we will make that happen. Just like McDonald's. If they're like, hey, listen, you put this much salt on the fries here, just like you do in Hawaii, and everybody likes them, but if we find people want more salt, we'll put more salt on there, and we'll tell you. But I really run the company by a dashboard of metrics. We track everything. We track how many times the phone rings before we answer it. Yeah. We talk how long the conversation is. We talk how many dials you made a day. Yeah. We track about what your listing to close ratio is. We track ridiculous things. We track the temperature of the room when we're giving presentations. We listen to presentations. We use AI to go over the presentations, how we can make them better. Yeah. We've sold over 6,000 houses. We've helped, that's 12,000 families, okay, buyers and sellers side. We've done this so much. You know, we fine-tuned it to what's the best metrics and the best way to do this. And we can look at the numbers and we can kind of see what's happening with the market before it even happens, where, hey, things are changing. This is what we need to do to adjust that. And that's by having a real
I'm laughing internally right now because I remember hearing people say, I'm going back to like 2010 probably, or 2011, where people like, yeah, he's just a turn and burn and he'll be out of business because nobody's ever going to go back to him. He's never going to be able to do it.
Because the average agent thinks it's price. That's what they constantly look at. They constantly think it's price. And listen, I'm in business, you're not.
These things, it's because I'm thinking of things that I've heard or we've gone through over the years. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's because most agents.
Not because I think you're funny.
You see a lot of agents, you do a lot of closings. Tell me, what do you see the difference of agents out there? Like, what do you see as maybe commonality or kind of the experience that you're at the end of the transaction, right? I am. So you're kind of
also, I think leading into how I get a lot of the newer agents is a lot of the seminar work I've done. You put a good product out there, right? So you attract people. You have good speakers, you have good trainings. And then what ends up happening is I'm not from the mentality of like, all right, it's a bad market. Let me call 100 agents and do 100 lunches or 100 coffees, because that's burnout. So what happens is they end up coming back. And so as the agents are coming in, I end up being, broker. I end up being loan officer. I end up being like home inspector, just to give them the right information as they're coming through, because they're lost. There's no leadership. There's no way that they could possibly know. Sometimes it's their first, second, third transaction, and they have nobody to talk to. Like they go back and, I tried calling my broker, but they don't pick up the phone. And they're in these tight situations of, as windows of you need an answer kind of right away. And you know what the first thing to say? I knew you'd pick up. So I take a lot of pride in that. So I try to create the culture based off of the people that I respect and the agents that I respect. Listen, not every transaction is going to be perfect from any agent, but I will tell you that there's a difference between your agents and some of the other agents that are trained properly, that have culture, that have a surrounding. They can call you, maybe. No, they can call you. They can call Darielle. They can call the upline here. People that have sold the 50, 60, 70 houses for 3 or 4 or 5 years, that have sold 500 houses here over the years. I believe that's how we continue to grow culture. Meaning, you're never going to get everybody in that same circle, but I think if you're working with good people, meaning me or you or the loan officers that we know or other people, you have to train them from within. I'm very lucky to know the process kind of. I don't know your process, meaning I know you spend millions of dollars on marketing. I wouldn't know where to start with that, but I would know how to market, So when your agents come in and they've been trained and marketed, I take that and I kind of reverse engineer it from my standpoint. Even though I'm the last person people see, I kind of feel like I'm up there and I have to take people through the lending, the selling, the inspections, because we deal with a lot of that too. So I truly believe that it's up to me to make sure that culture continues.
Yeah, I think it's very valuable too. Is if I was an agent, to be able to have somebody with your experience to go to the closing. As a closing attorney, not all closing attorneys are the same, right? Yeah. Or lending companies or realtors. And so looking at working with you, I think really what you bring to the table too is helping the deal come together. Sometimes there's a lot of hair on the transaction. Listen, let's face it. People say the most stressful transactions they've done, or stressful things they've done in life, is death, divorce, and selling a house. Right? And selling a house is right up there. It's number 2. It's tied, And I think a lot of times you come to the buyer's stressed out, the seller's stressed out. It's coming to the point of everybody's, it's do or die, and we're coming to the closing table, and we got to have somebody that's going to get it to the finish line. And I've been at closings where the attorney's absolutely horrid because they're representing the seller, for example. They're representing the buyer. And they tick the other person off, and the other person walks out of the deal. It's done. The closing attorney killed the deal. It happens every single year. You're not with your office, with other attorneys. I guess they want to beat on the chest. Well, I'm not going to allow that to be on there. And it's all right, well, then you're going to kill the deal. And they kill the deal. I think they think like we're going to walk away as a representing the buyer, and the buyer and the walk-in. Nobody wants to see that because you got 2 or 3 months worth of work in there.
I always said the fiduciary duties to the transaction. It's not just to the individual. You know, I mean, technically as a title company, we represent the bank. I could use that. I don't represent the buyer. We don't represent the buyer. We represent the bank.
I've never met a buyer that wasn't happy they didn't buy the house. Like every buyer when they've lost out on the house regretted it.
I always say,
and the sellers.
I always say, how in 30 days we sign a contract and everybody's all kumbaya, and in 30 days we can't be in the same room together.
Right.
Well, it's a lack of professionalism, lack of knowledge, a lack of camaraderie. It's like not knowing your space and how to overcome those objections. And I think that's what is done really well here. You know, nobody hides. I know you don't let them hide.
No.
You know, so like you the only way to face a problem is to face it.
Yeah. And I you know, we're kind of going full circle to be on how we started this conversation. That's what's got NAR in trouble with their commissions, what they're getting paid. Agents are so afraid to be transparent and charge something and make money. I mean, case in point is like people don't like us because we get paid more than them. Right? Because in their mind of thinking, because no one's ever taught them anything different, they think we do the same thing as them. And then they can't understand why we dominate the real estate market every single year for now. Was it 16 years in a row plus and grown? We dominate the real estate. No one's close to us. Like our second competitor maybe sells half as much as we sell. Like how do we do that? It's because we literally do 10 times more than you do. And that's why people pay us more than they pay you, because they see what we do and they'll pay us more than even hiring you because you're cheaper, because you're so caught up on price and you think it's what people, and get it, there are customers that are stuck on price. I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with the people that say, hey, listen, I don't get time to do this over again. I want to get this done right the first time. And I'm going to pay you guys because you're a professional team and you have the track record better than anybody else out there. And I know I'm going to pay a little bit more, but I know I'm going to get much better service and better results than hiring my cousin that's done this 4 times in the last 2 years.
I would rather, it's like whether I shop for a car, a new home, you know, a furniture, you know, it's not so much the price of the product, it's the value of the service that I get.
Right.
You know, like when you used to walk into like a bunch of different places and like you walk into a car dealership, and they don't do it as much anymore, but like 10 guys would come up to you. What, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? I'm like, you know, I get what you're doing, but I'll come and find you when I need you. You know, give me the benefits and the details. But jumping back to that culture part, the one thing that stands out as well is not just the coaching here, not just like, oh, you have calls and you're doing marketing. It's the other things that the organization does. And I don't think people know enough about how much you work with Children's Hospital, you know, the children over in India. Like, you know, I don't think they realize how much you do to build that culture too.
Yeah, well, I appreciate
giving
that
back.
out. Yeah, give it back. I think that's been a big point. Is, you know, I think it's important. You know, a mentor, a very important mentor in my life. You know, tells us that, you know, is be able to give to the poor, the needy, the orphans, the widows. You know, and to be able to give back. And you know, these things that we're given in this life. It's a short time that we're here. You know, we're not here very long. And you know, they're not ours that we're given. You know, and it's what you do with your labor, your fruit of your labors, you give back. And I think it's something to look at of the culture, as you mentioned before, would be the culture of the people we have on our team. You know, a long time ago, I always said I never want to work with people I don't want to work with anymore. Like if I don't like you, I don't want to work with you. And there'd be people that had to work with me. I didn't like them, but they did the job, and I kept them. I should have never kept them. So I think it's developed over time. But the culture really on the team has always been about giving back, right? And working for the person next to you, okay? Working with, you know, the people like are like you, okay? Is giving back. You help give back. You know, we're raising money for our orphanage in India. We're over halfway, 56% there. We've got another $30,000 we have to raise by September 1st. So if anybody's watching
we'll
this,
get there.
You know, we need $30,000. But we're raising that money, and every sale we do, we put a piece in there. So we'll get there. But it's about giving back. And I think that type of, the things that you do to attract the right people that want to be part of that, a lot of the agents on our team give a piece of every sale that they do to Angel House to have that done. Our referrals, we work with around, Haswell Children's Hospital to give a piece to that. You've been part of those golf tournaments that we've done in the past and doing those things. I'm just very blessed to be able to have this. You know, I went to CCRI for 2 days. You know, to be able to build a multi-million-dollar business and to be able to have this impact that it's had in my life.
That's about 2 more days than I went, by the way. So looking at us.
You know, to have these things, to be able to give back. You know, it tickles pink to be able to bless other people with the blessings that I've been given. And I didn't do anything to deserve these things. It's just really good people that have been in my life that have shown me these things. And
you can be selfless and be outstanding and be, a conservative, fiscal conservative. Like you can still be all of those things, but you have to have a message and you have to have somebody to look up to as a mentor, as you say, to be able to do things for people without expecting anything in return.
And I think that's what's important about having a profitable business, because with a profitable business, you can do those things. You can help other people. There's nothing wrong with being profitable. And listen, that's something that you have to grow and understand with it. Some people have a hard time being profitable. They think it's wrong to do that. It's like, it is wrong if you're ripping people off, where you're saying you're going to give them A and you give them B, okay? But if you're just like, this is what we do, this is what it costs, and this is what it costs to do it, and then you can do these things, and you can build a business that can give back and build a good culture of good people and help them. I think the same size hole that you receive from is the same size hole that you give through, right? And that's always been something that we've done since the beginning. But able to do bigger projects, and we have bigger dreams to be able to, we want to do is important. But culture, you could see it. I think you could see over the years our culture has changed.
Yes. Tremendously.
We just had our event. You weren't able to make it to our annual event.
I don't think I was invited, but
really?
I haven't been on the list.
I don't think we had any vendors. We didn't have any vendors there with
I'm not just a vendor. I mean, you hear me? I'm not just a vendor.
But that was a great event. So we did that. I was able to make it too. We won again.
Who won the volleyball this year, though?
We did. We won again. So it was Frank, Darielle, me, and was Bobby on our team? Can't remember. Who was the fourth person?
Yeah.
Oh.
That court's like
Nick.
Concrete.
Yeah, my knees hurt every single time. Yeah. So Nick was on it, but we had a good time. So I think it's one of the teams that play together.
Win together.
Win together. And so I think that's the environment with it. And everybody's really about seeing the guy next to them. And I can say that's really different. All the companies I've worked for, the culture of, when you work with these franchises that are all like, everybody just does their own thing, and you're kind of competing with the guy that works at that office, and it's like, you gotta watch what you leave in the coffee machine, because they might take your lead. Like everybody here is on the same page. It's like, hey man, let me help you get this transaction. This is what you do, what you don't do, and it's camaraderie. And we want that to work together and we've had people come on the team that are great salespeople, but within 30 days we can find out, dude, you're just not the right culture. We gotta let you go. I've fired people that have sold 6 houses their first month starting here, and they would be rock stars, but I'm like, dude, your culture doesn't align with us. I gotta let you go. Because the culture is the most important thing in a company.
So if you're out there, culture does matter, not just the paycheck.
No, cultures, and people that work for companies will tell you the same thing. You get wrong people. It doesn't work for everybody, but you got to try to protect the culture as much as you can.
So I think one of our passions together is to teach. I mean, we've done seminars, for years. We've done different things together. Like, when I call you and say, you also call me, because like if there's a topic, sometimes you're like, let's get this to go. Like the buyer seminar that we did, we did it with Kyle, and we just, I don't know how we threw that together in like 2 weeks. We got the boxing gym, and that's part of like the showmanship of it. But I'm passionate about it. I know you're passionate about it, but like, what do you like? I always think of you sometimes, like when it comes to that. Like I'm like, all right, I wonder if Nate would want to do this with me. Like, and who could we get to make this even better?
Yeah, I think what I get motivated about is motivating other people. Like I like to inspire other people to move, to do. Like and that's tough. It's tough to bring people to drier ground. It really is. I just got to think of like Moses trying to bring people to a better place, and they want to keep on going back. And it's getting people, motivating people to go to higher ground, to drier ground. Let's go here. It's better here. I really like doing that. So if there's something that I like and I know this is the right way, I love teaching about it. We did that buyer agency, this whole thing about it back before it became a thing.
How do you like traveling to do it?
I like traveling because I get more recognition not in the state. Moving other people listen to me. I do it in my backyard, and everybody's like, "Who's this guy?"
They're like, slingshotting.
Yeah, I go to Nevada, and people are just
there
like,
he is. He's trying to recruit me again.
This guy's amazing, and they want to come work for me, and they're in Nevada. So I guess this is how it goes.
I used to get a lot of, when I was traveling for short sales back in the day. God, I used to get like so excited because it just was new people. And I felt like my influence or my approach or my tutelage or anything I could teach anybody, I think is always like awesome. Yeah,
I would like to teach people about being profitable. I think that's one of the biggest things that people need to understand is like to run a P&L like how to run that.
You see that? We're gonna
is like how to sit there and say
what's your
really expenses, where you should be, and where your profit should be, and how to do that. To get that is like that's what I work with a lot. And I love teaching people that.
Would that be more like on a broker level?
AI is really cool. I'm doing a lot of cool things with AI. On a broker level, yeah.
No, like if you, we'll say,
Yeah.
like you talked about, like you'd like to teach people how to be profitable. Would you want to do that more on like a broker level to be able to teach it down, or would you rather teach it from the floor up?
I think the problem with trying to teach the brokers, Danny, is they're married to a bad model. It's kind of like you date the model, marry the mission. Right, and your mission should be that you want to give philanthropy, of giving back, whatever you want to do. But to do that, you have to be profitable to have those things. But if you marry the model, and your model is this franchise, it ain't going to change. You're stuck.
You're still stuck.
And you're stuck in a non-profitable model, right? So that's why you date the model, and you can change the model if you have to, but you marry your mission, right? And your mission is building quality lives. Well, that's our mission, okay? But whatever your mission is, you marry that, and you find a way to be able to make your mission come true. Okay, you got to have the right model. So helping a lot of brokers, the problem is they have a terrible model, and they're not willing. Like I talk to these guys, and they're losing money, and they're trying to sell a losing money business, and it's like, but your business, and I was talking to a Keller Williams broker the other day, and they were not making any money. And he's like, well, I'm going to try to sell the business. And I'm kind of like, how are you going to sell a business that doesn't make any money? Who wants to buy that? Hey, do you want to buy my negative income business?
When they look at the P&L, they're going to be, all right, what's the first place everyone wants to see?
And so it's in the same, buddy, your business isn't profitable. It's not worth anything. Even if it was profitable, it's probably not worth anything, And so it's hard to change a lot of those people's minds. I think where it starts with the agents is really the most profitable business to be in is not the brokerage, it's a team, build a team. And so showing them how to do that.
We've been talking about that for years, right?
I wrote a book about it.
I've pushed on the team model. I still continually talk about the team model. And the people that are actually running teams are doing very well right now. I happen to work with some other, not higher producing as yours, but 200 transactions, 150 transactions with 8 to 10 people. Pretty good. They're all doing 20 transactions or 15 transactions, and they got better systems in place. They have better culture in place. And they're some of them don't aspire to rule the world or to be multi-stated. But the team concept is beneficial to a lot of agents.
2019 wrote the book, The Death of the Real Estate Salesperson and the Rise of the Super Profitable Real Estate Team.
Where was that published?
Well, it's on Amazon. You can pick it up now if you want. But
I thought I was looking for on the New York Times bestseller.
You could open up chapter 9. I wrote chapter 9. Okay. So the point was really kind of see this going is the brokerages, because that's what the model keeps on being, is sitting there going, really the people that are making the money is the guys at the top, and they have these pyramid scheme things now, and all these other ones. But really, agents can't really compete with teams. Teams is the future. So showing people those how to build that team and how to model that team in the beginning, and start with a model of profitability, with a model of a P&L that does those things, that sit there saying this is what you can spend in this area, percentage-wise, that's sustainable. A lot of people don't know that, and they get involved with a real estate company or a real estate process or system, whatever you're going to call it, and it's broken from the beginning because the system has literally a profit margin of 5% on the best day. And it's like, dude, how are you going to make money at 5%?
I love, and a lot of times I get the individual agents that think they want to do something like that, and they're like, well, I'm going to do Zillow, and I'm going to buy Realty.com, or I'm going to get Boomtown, or they're going to all these high expensive, items to be able to cash in on, and
you got a close ratio of like 1%.
Well, and that, I talk to the loan officers that we may partner up with them, and they're like, nobody picks up the phone, the agents aren't picking up the calls, just
because it's so expensive in business. Whoever's willing to pay more for the customer will win. Repeat that. Whoever's willing to pay more for the customer will win. But everybody keeps on going after the low, I don't want to say low hanging fruit, because low hanging fruit is very expensive. The best leads are going to be more expensive. You might have to pay $3,000-$4,000 for that lead. And it blows people's mind. They're like, well, I can get leads from Boomtown for $3. Good luck with that. Right. They're not going to answer the phone. You can do those things. But if I'm willing to pay $3,000-$4,000 for that customer, and you can only afford to pay $3, I'm going to win. Right? I'm going to take that customer, and I'm going to get a sale, and you're going to have to develop probably about 1,000 of those $3 customers. Service all those phone calls that people don't want to talk to. Nobody answers the phone. Okay, and you make $10,000 a day. Okay, and then every 6 months you'll sell a house, but still spend $3,000 or $4,000.
Let's talk about that real quick, because I got a lot of agents.
But how do we do that? Is because we know our numbers. Because we've done this. Like when I say we've made probably 1 million phone calls, over the last,
I know.
with this is over 20 years of doing this. It's like,
And
you think it's not our first time making time for
it. That's what I mean.
It's not our first time phone.
This one, that
yeah,
one.
we've done it all. If it could work better, we would. But it was just a situation of like, we know what's going to cost to develop a customer, what your ROI is, all these numbers where they need to be.
And I'm sure you get the calls because I'm sure people are always trying to sell you something because they know you're a top producing team. But like, I get agents now coming to me and they're like, oh, Sync. Or like these different platforms, these generated CRMs.
Yeah, but it's all the same thing. It's all coming from Google.
Right.
People are searching around homes, and they get somebody, there's a pop-up, they get a forced registration. I don't want to fill out the forced registration, but I will to get there, and now someone's going to be calling me. Nowadays, my phone just goes on block. I don't even get the phone call. Yeah. That stuff's dead. Yeah. We stopped doing that stuff years ago. People are just pulling up like they get new technology. It's like, dude, that's 10 years old. Right. Sync was created in the group I was part of in 2016. I know the guy that made it, and he sold the business for $140 million. It started in my group, that we were part of. Our mastermind group started it. He was in it. Dwayne Legate and found it. Dwayne Legate did a crowdfunding in our group. We all put some money in. I did not invest in it. I wish I did. And he turned around and sold. I think it was like maybe even $400 million. He ended up selling it for. Who bought it was who's a title company, Fidelity bought it.
Fidelity.
Fidelity bought it. Sync. But that's been around for that long. Forced registration leads are dead. You got to get people that can answer the phone. It's very expensive to get those leads. It's very expensive to send mail outs, $10,000 for one round. Spend $100,000 at a mail out. People aren't willing to do those things, which is fine. If you're not willing to do those, then you better work with somebody that's willing to do those things. You're going to go out of business.
And I think that's where people miss the boat, right? The buying power, also the consistency in buying the lead or buying the next step of the lead, right? Which could be the referral off of that referral. But again, without having experienced it. So like when agents start and they're looking for this like, from the sky, they don't have the capacity to do it. Two, they don't have the funds. No. And that's
they play small. And that's the danger of business is like, not the danger, it's like the allure of you can play small, win big. It doesn't work that way. There's nowhere in business that was. The guy that's willing, the girl that's willing to pay the most for the business and pays the most for the customer will win every single time. There's sometimes we'll take a customer on and we're not making any money. Like we paid $12,000 for this customer. We're going to make $12,000. We're going to lose money on this end, but we can make money on the other end. Now that's not a model. Don't let anybody tell you that's a model you want to copy. There's silly companies that say, hey, lose money on the front, make money on the back. Not in real estate. You can't do that. Okay.
Once in a while.
It happens just because it's not a good return on your investment. Okay, to do that. But you can pick up a customer, and we'll pick those customers up because it's a good opportunity for the team. The team gets the business, okay, and we'll give them a really good experience or bring them through the funnel. And at the end of the day, they're going to refer business to us, okay, that we can get 2 or 3 sales. Actually, our goal is to get 6 transactions with one customer, okay, and that's what we always track. We have ways too. For every listing that we get in, we want to get 30 leads from that one listing, okay, and work those 30 leads. And so we have metrics that we track the whole entire learn. 30 listings and 30 leads in 30 days from one listing. So every listing we come in, we get, let's say 30 listings this month, 20 listings this month, okay, that's 600, 900 leads we're going to get from that one listing. Okay, we can feed everybody with. It's knowing how to do those things. It's got to be. You got to have to be able to be scalable with it. Can't just like expect that agent that has the listing to make all those calls to market that. It's not by. So it's not by accident of how we know how to get 30 leads in 30 days by one listing. Right. It's a process that we've taught ourselves from learning the hard way with it. But so there's some important things you could learn, but that's that idea that I'm seeing out there. It's kind of going back to like the cold call cowboys, or how many phone calls you can make in a day, and stuff like that. Is like that's like the cool thing. It's everybody go out and make 800 phone calls a dial.
That's not
like
working smarter than harder, right? I mean,
no, those guys aren't going to be doing this for 40 years. They're not going to be in a retirement business because here's what happens. And you might feel this, maybe you're watching this, it's kind of like, you don't have any business, so you make a bunch of phone calls prospecting, you find a client, okay, you go sell them a house, so your income goes to here, but what happens while you're working that client, you stop prospecting, and so what happens next month, you're down here, so you stop prospecting again, okay, bam, you find a client, okay, you sell them a house, but the same thing happens, and you're always going over this roller coaster ups and down income of working prospecting because it's a ludicrous idea that you're going to be the top prospector for the company, the top salesperson for the customer, and doing all these things. No wonder everybody burns out. And you try to tell people that. They ain't getting out of business because they're making too much money. They got out of business because they ain't making any money. Right? And you can see the average agent, according to NAR, makes about $48,000 per year. right? I don't think most people got into this business to make $48,000 a year.
That's poverty.
Yeah, and if you add the hours that you're making into this, you're making about
$12
an hour. If you want to do your own math, take your hourly, take how much hours you work a week, multiply that by 40 hours a week times 52 weeks. That's about 2,080 hours a year. Let's say you went on 2 vacations, you worked 2,000 hours. If you sold 4 houses and you made, let's say $8,000 a house, okay, that's $32,000. You divide that by 2,000 hours, you're roughly making about $12.80 an hour. Okay, you can do the math yourself. Okay, I'm pretty sure McDonald's pays about $15 an hour. So most people don't realize that they're making less than you'd make working at McDonald's getting into real estate, because at the end of the day, they're not profitable, and they don't know how to be profitable.
You got to pay dues,
and they're not profitable because they work for companies that aren't profitable. And everybody works around and goes, "Hey, are you profitable? I'm not selling any houses. Or I'm selling houses, but I'm not profitable." And they walk around, and they go that. And there is a different way and a better way and a different system to get better results and be profitable.
Nice. All right, so I always finish it up with, so Nathan, why Dan Balkun? Why Balkun Title? Why have I managed to stay in the good graces of such a great company, with a lot of expectations? Like, why is it that we've been able to do it for so long together?
Why? Well, it's been, how to get the deal done. And what we want to make sure is that we get the ball to the closing attorney, and the ball's going to get to the closing line, right? And you're the last guy that's going to have, or the last person that's going to have interaction with the company, with the client. So we want to send our client someone that's going to be competent, going to be able to get the deal done and get it closed. Not only that, there's nothing worse than everything's a smooth, great transaction, and it gets to the closing attorney, and the closing attorney mucks it up at the last minute, and people took time out of work, the closing doesn't happen at a time, the paperwork's not in front of them at the right time, they didn't get to see the numbers, things are all off, and it really just makes a sour taste in everybody's mouth at the last minute of the transaction. It kills it. Why we said the business to you is because you've done this tens of thousands of times, probably hundreds of thousands of times, that you have a system and a process to do this. We know that we send you the deal, that you're going to take care of it. It's not going to be the last minute, the people get their numbers, and you'll continue to keep the customer happy, so they just remember the whole transaction was a good transaction.
Worse than getting a bad review because of me.
Yes, you don't want to get a bad review because you referred them to somebody. Like moving companies, dude, we don't refer moving companies, because I can't find a good moving company, and you give them these moving companies, and these friggin' heroin addicts show up nodding out on the job. You're like, you referred these guys to me. We don't refer moving companies. We don't have to put that in there. But literally, that happens. I won't refer a moving company.
I like working with you guys for a lot of the same reasons. That we do get to the closing table, things are in place. I also like the accountability that you hold me to, because it makes me want to be better as a company. He's grinning right now. But there's an accountability factor. Like, we're working together, like just like my expectations of you are a certain way, or the staff, and you have the same expectations of me. And it actually has helped me grow my staff to be accountable. Not only just to Nathan Clark and his squad, but to others. Because if I have to do it for you, then I have to do it for everybody.
So what you're talking about is, like, we survey the client. Like, we don't just sit there and say, we take the agent's word for it, stuff like that. We care about the system. Like, as a brokerage, most brokerages don't care about the customer. They care about just acquiring agents. We actually care about the process that the agent or the customer had with it. So we'll survey the customer. We'll survey, hey, what did you think about the closing with Dan? Okay, we share those results with you. They're great.
He does, by the way, just so you know.
So there's hey, these are our metrics. This is what we want to stay above. Because when there's actually, and we love it, you can look around the office here. Look how many scoreboards we have up here.
They're everywhere.
Right. Because when you keep score of things, people play differently. Right. And when you share people's score, they say, all right, this is competitive. And I believe this is a competitive sport. I may like to be competitive or not.
Absolutely.
And I think when you keep score, people play different. Right. And you look at the scoreboard and say, hey, I could do better. And that's how we hold each other accountable to be better. We don't just sit there and say, hey, whatever happens tomorrow, we want to be better tomorrow than we were the day before, right? And continue to grow and continue to be better. And that's constantly what we try to do is doing that. And we always want to be with the best. We don't want to be with the second best or third best. And that's why we do business with you.
Thanks, man. Well, listen, awesome. Great to catch up as always.
Thanks for having me on. Hopefully you have me on again.
Oh, we'll see.
Another 25. Hopefully you don't kick me off.
Well, not 25 more years. It'll be 5. Imagine in 25 years.